How are you today? Good? So what is today's date? Today is 17 November. December. Huh? Yeah. Is it 17? 17 December. Is it warm? Do you all feel warm? Okay, huh? So we have 2 more weeks before end of the year. 14 days before 31st of December. Which means that we have used up 351 days. Today is the 51st day of the year. Wow. Did you realize that you have used up so many days in this year? You know, I once shared that the idea of having the year separated into months creates this false sense of renewal. Because if we, instead of saying that it's the first of each month, like there's 1st of January, 2nd of January, and so on, and then you reach the 1st of February, then the 1st of March, and so on. You kind of forget how many days you have used up. Although, of course, we know that we are going through the whole year. Yeah. But what if now we were to adopt a slightly different way of looking at things? Yeah. That every single day you ask yourself, how many days you have used this year so far? And how many days have you left so far? I think our life would be quite different. Then you will ask yourself, like, do you all realize that you have 2 weeks left of this year? Yeah, literally just 2 weeks left of this year. But as we know, come 31st December, maybe there's some special celebration somewhere. Some of you may go for some countdown. Some of you will be at home watching the countdown, and some of you will be watching it halfway and then fall asleep. Yeah, we wouldn't really care much about that, really. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Why? Why is it that we don't really care about it? It's because we know that 1st of January will come. Do you know that 1st of January 2018 will come? You know, right? Some of you have already got the calendar. In our phone, you can really go to look at the calendar. In fact, you can go to 2019 and look at the calendar already. Yeah, that's what we do when we plan ahead, isn't it? Yeah, to do all the scheduling and things. We plan ahead because we think that day is going to come. It hasn't come, you know. And you don't know what will happen on that day. But we plan ahead, thinking that it's going to be more or less like this, how it has been. And that's why we can plan ahead. We can think, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, at that date. But what if that date don't come? What if it comes, but comes in a different way? What if you plan for an outing with your family or friends, and then it rains? What if it snows? Have you ever planned for a contingency? You know, in Singapore, when we plan for outdoor events, then you have a wet weather plan. Do we ever have a snow weather plan? Yeah, we never. Because we usually don't need to in Singapore. Because so far, our experience have told us that Singapore doesn't snow. In some countries, they also have this assumption. And so when it suddenly snows, they are caught unaware. And when they're caught unaware in this case, in some places, people die. Yeah, literally. In some places, they do experience snow, but they expect the snow to come only in November, perhaps December. But when it comes earlier, in October, then all the plan fails. Changes in the future or uncertainty in the future is not just about the weather. Not just about the weather. We may plan a lot of things, but who knows? Yeah? We may plan, I'm going to do this with this person next year. But what if next year that person is not around? We never know, do we? But we plan. And so planning, in that sense, indicates an assumption that because the person is here now, next year, sometime in the future, the person would still be here. This in Buddhism is called eternalist view, or a sense of permanence, a view that things are permanent, or at least wouldn't change too drastically. So, 14 days more to go. And it's not much of a big deal. It's as good as today, in a way. But people make a big deal out of it. That's why we have the year-end countdown. But many times they make a big deal out of it, not so much because it's a big deal. Yeah? The only big deal is the big deal that we make out of it. Yeah? But they do that also because of other reasons. They do that because then they can draw a lot of people to their place and earn some money. Such as, in those shopping malls, they have a countdown. Yeah? Such as those variety show. And now, what is it called? Last time there was SBC, then there was TCS. I think now is it called MediaCorp? Would there be a countdown? Yes, of course. Every year there will be a countdown. And every year they must make it a bit different. In the Buddha's time, there were no countdowns. Yeah, you see no sutta where it's called the countdown sutta. And there, on the last day of the year, the Buddha was at Savatthi. No, there's no such a sutta. Yeah. All sutta starts with, there was once. Yeah. 一时. They don't seem to even care whether they tell you exactly when it was. Yeah. Quite different. Today is the third last SGC. Yeah. In a short while we will start on today's topic. Yeah. But I thought just to get everybody a bit warm up on this question. Yeah. Because we need a reason to do things. Yeah. We need a reason to do things differently as well. To do things exactly the same as we did yesterday or last week, you don't need a reason, you just do the same. But now to do it differently, you better have a good reason. And a huge part of the Buddhist teaching is to help us find that reason. To realize that if we continue in the same way, then you'll be in for some surprise. Just now, Annette just passed me a piece of paper. It says, Dear Venerable Chuan Guan, could you kindly include my family friend, Mr. Nyang, is it Nyang? Nyang Jo Lot?
My friend is from Myanmar.
Yes. Is it Mr. Nyang or Mr. Nyang? Nyang. Mr. Nyang Jo Lot, in your marriage dedication, whom we just recently informed that he passed away suddenly and peacefully in Myanmar. He was 38 years old. 38, not old by any standard, not old. Leaving behind his wife and a 5-year-old child. Yesterday I was at SGH, visited a family. The family just experienced 2 crises. One was one of the uncle passing away. The other was the other uncle who is now in ICU. The uncle who passed away due to heart attack, and the other one is in ICU because when he went for chemotherapy for lung cancer, got into some complication. Yeah. Yesterday or Friday, I received a text from a member from the Buddhist library. He rarely texts me. Yeah. when he texts me is to inform me of something. So when he texts me and sent me a link, I was a bit surprised, like, And it was a news of a person who was attacked and killed in India. And I was like, that is not quite like this person. He don't share with me news of any kind. We're not on a daily text basis or even weekly text basis buddy level, So I was like, then I read the next line. Let me read to you what was the message, because this is something close to heart. So, the title of the link was Man Hacked to Death in Broad Daylight in Andhra Pradesh, and no one helped. And all this person wrote to me was, the victim is the Maruti we knew, confirmed by Venerable Jyoti. And then he wrote in Chinese, 光天化日众目不懂什么读可能是鬼鬼之下，在印度被姐姐的夫家的人砍死。You know how sometimes you read some news of some tragedy like this? You hear of someone who got knocked down, is somebody's friend, or is some random person, and you feel compassion. You feel like, and then you say, you post on Facebook, and you ask people to do some prayers and dedication, and perhaps in some senses they even do a service. When I saw this, my reply was, what? With a question mark. And so he replied, you remember Maruti, the Indian foreign worker helping in BL? And I'm like, I remember, that's why my what? Yeah. Because you see, Maruti is an Indian foreign worker who worked as a lift technician in Singapore. And he has been back and forth to Singapore on different contracts. And he had been volunteering his time with Buddhist Library. The reason why the person sent this to me is not because he volunteered in Singapore, in BL. Not because, other people don't volunteer, so we don't care. But this person volunteered, so we care. But because this person, Maruti, he's a foreigner. He's away from family. He worked in Singapore. By any standard, you wouldn't say that he worked in a glamorous job, lift technician. Nothing to be ashamed of as well. I always tell people, 百行之中不分贵贱 is an upright work. But what's remarkable about him was that on his rest day, on Sunday, instead of joining his friend, he told us very candidly, he said his friends all want to hang out in Little India in some places, drinking or visiting places. He don't want. So he chose to go to Buddhist library, and he would go ahead of time to volunteer and he didn't go there to say, hey, got any kang tao or earn some fast money. No, he was there genuinely to volunteer and to learn Dharma. But the thing about him was, there was one night when I finished classes in the Buddhist Federation. Remember there was a time where was it you who would bring me to Buddhist library, from Buddhist library over there? It was around that time. And I don't know whether you were the one who bring me back on one of those nights. But I would walk back, because it's so near, I don't need a transport, I would walk back. And when I walked back, there was this guy at the Buddhist library. And because I usually overshot time, so by the time I got back, but the library is near closing hours. So the counter staff was at the counter, was at the door, like one pane was closed and he was talking to him. And he was having a hard time understanding this guy who was trying to tell him and then showing him some poster or something. So I just went closer and I had to go in because I was staying in the Buddhist library at that point in time. And I just got in, took off my shoes, and I just thought, like, okay, what's going on? And as I listened to him tell me and tell the counter staff what he wanted, at first I didn't quite understand what he wanted. But I decided to just spend a few more minutes. Yeah. At that hour, if you have an Indian coming to your doorstep and then telling you something, I'm not saying it's right, and I think it's quite racist also, to then assume that they are up to no good. But I wasn't thinking that. Maybe a bit, I don't know. But a part of me was like, well, let's just not assume that. Let's talk to him. And so when I talked to him and I listened carefully, then I realized that he was holding up a Buddhist poster, and he was asking whether we have Dharma books or something, whether we have something that he can learn. His English when he first arrived was really quite a struggle for us to understand. That was Maruti. And so I told him, yeah, you can come, And I told him when to come. And I thought, we have seen many people, go to centers, say they want to learn Dharma, and then that's the last time you ever hear from them. So from our experience, again, we project forward. Yeah? Because we have seen many people who are like this, so we assume certain things. But I sort of thought, maybe he'll come, maybe he will not come. But he came. And he never left. He came 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Huh? Why? I know. And he came again and again. He didn't come for food or money or anything. He was genuinely coming for the Dharma. Yesterday, the family asked me. He said, the son asked, my father had always been a nice person. He's a good person. Why is this happening to him? Why is he having lung cancer? Why is he having lung cancer and then having complication while he's having chemotherapy? I could ask the same about Maruti. By any standard, I think he's a pretty nice person. If you have seen him, you have known him, yeah. And that's why it's so difficult to comprehend life, isn't it? That even when you do everything right, seemingly, and everything goes wrong. Surely among any of you, you wouldn't wish for your worst enemy to be hacked to death. Yeah. I haven't reached the stage where I can tell you conclusively why this happened. I haven't reached the stage where I can tell you, oh, it's because in how many lives ago, he and this few person had this conflict, and he hacked them to death. And so, to this life, it has ripened. Nor can I tell you that in the past life he has hacked so many people, and so these two persons, while they were not hacked by him, when they met him and the conditions come together, they felt compelled to hack, and they give in to their urges and their anger to hack, and they hack him to death. And by planting this seed, these two persons in future will draw people to want to hack them. I haven't reached that stage to be able to tell you that conclusively. But from the suttas, that's what we can infer, perhaps. What I can tell you is, Maruti was a good person, at least during the period I know him. I still say that, only during the period I know him. I don't know how he was in the past, but I'm not suggesting he was an evil person. But I don't know about his past life. But he was a good person when I met him. And that's the problem. Because we can only see so much. In our whole life of 80 odd years, we cannot even remember what happened beyond a certain number of years. We can't see into the future. We can only remember figments of the past that we choose to remember. There are so many things we can't remember. I always ask people, can you remember last Wednesday? Can you remember what you ate for breakfast last Wednesday? And most people will just shrug and laugh. There will usually be some kid who tell me, yes, I can remember. I remember I ate bread for breakfast. And then I asked them, how do you know? And they said, because my mommy prepared breakfast. And every day she prepared bread. This is the only time anybody can remember what they ate. Because even as they eat the same breakfast every day, if you ask them, do you remember distinctly how many bites you ate? They can't remember. Do you remember exactly how it was like to eat? You can't remember. And so even in our own life, we are just like looking at this beautiful Grand Canyon through a peephole. I want you all to try this. Make a small hole with your index finger and just look through it, ignoring everything else. And you just look through it. See how many people can you see through that small hole. And when you see the whole hall through this small hole, can you see how different this whole hall look like? This place become a very strange place. With our limited wisdom and ability to see, not just to the past or the future, even in the present, we can only see this much, We can only be aware of this much. Whatever is happening in other countries, we don't know. Even in Singapore, back home right now, you don't know. And that's why we worry. We wonder what is happening at home. When we are at work, we wonder what is happening to our children in school. We worry because we don't know. But unfortunately, that's our present state. We're afraid that something like this will happen to our family. We're afraid that our family members, they can live a very good life and then grow up to the point of 38 and suddenly just pass away. Yeah. In a short while, we'll look at how right view and right intention shapes right speech, action, and livelihood. And perhaps why, even more importantly, why? Why did the Buddha share that? Why did the Buddha teach that? Who is new here on my left? Let me see. Anybody who is new here on my left? Jean and her kids just came back from their trip. Welcome back. Clap more wholeheartedly lah. Like very half-hearted, like, oh yeah, welcome back. Oh yeah, yes. Okay, let me see. The rest are, I think, all season parking holders. Okay, very good. Good to see you, Man Singh, again. Very good. All right. On my right, I think we have. Yes, you look new. The checkered top. Hello. Tell us your name and how you got to know about this group.
I'm Shifu.
Xiu-Hua, hello.
And I have never been to a Buddhist place.
Wow.
And this is my first time.
Ah.
But I have read about Buddhism.
Ah.
Yes. I was a Christian.
Okay.
But after about, I was born into a Christian family.
I see.
But when I was in my 20s, I found it hard to believe that there is a God.
Right. Okay.
And I thought it's easier to understand the world if I believe there's no God.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I have been sort of an atheist. But I have been trying to find out about Buddhism because I see that many of its tenets are very, very good. And the only thing that I have problems with is with the idea of rebirth.
Ah, okay.
I have problems.
Very good.
accepting that. That's all. So I came on to understand more about Buddhism.
Okay. Okay. Welcome. Well, you are in the right company. Most of them have issue with rebirth also. But how did you chance upon this group? Like, how do you get to know about?
One of my ex-colleagues, retired already, but she told me about this conference that was at Mandarin.
The one that just.
Yeah, that one. And I registered and they gave me a place eventually. At first they said no more place.
Yeah, it was quickly taken up. Yes.
Eventually, the office they messaged me that there is a place you can go, just come, So
Right.
that was where I went there. It's not that relevant, but it's good to understand about the place of Buddhism nowadays.
Right, right. And so from there, then.
And then I met people,
Uh-huh.
very friendly people there.
Uh-huh.
And there was a young girl who told me that if I want to know more, there's one place I could come to was this place.
Ah, I
She
see.
gave me the address and the time, and I came.
Ah, okay. Is the younger here? No. Okay. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Amazing. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. Feel free to just put up your hand if he take too much photo. Usually he takes like one or two. Today he like yeah. So yeah, take it easy, okay? Let me see, who else is new here for the first time? Anybody else? Oh, okay, I think, are you new? You're not new, right? You've been here for many times. Right. All right, so welcome. Welcome again. SGC, SGC is an acronym for the spiritual group cultivation. Yeah. So we have the short chanting in front, and then short meditation, and then not so short Dharma sharing. Yeah. Feel free to ask questions over here. All right? So, for today's topic, let me just get the visualizer up. And I didn't bring the paper that I usually use, the stack of paper. Would any of you have A4 paper that I can use to like do some writing on, if I may ask? So while they are getting it, perhaps I can share. This is pretty impressive. Yeah. How about if I use that? Because that is the whole bind. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate Toping. Really appreciate your effort. Yes. So very good. So, what is today's topic? Huh? Right intention. So, previously we have actually covered much of right intent, and today we're going to link it to the next few parts. But before we jump into that, I'd like to perhaps give ourselves a bit of overview, a very quick overview, so that we can make sense of what all this is about. Let me just get one of the blue pen out. All right. So again, today's date is yes. So 17th of December. We are covering this extended topic called the Noble Eightfold Path. And we have covered so far the what do you call that? The first one, which is right view. I'm going to write it below instead today, not because it's the lowest. Exactly. It serves as the foundation on which right intent is built on. Yeah. So we have gone through what right view and right intent is. And perhaps to just take a step back again, so what is this whole framework for? This whole framework, in a nutshell, is the way to end suffering. Simply put. In other words, it's the way to happiness. But not happiness the way we usually look at. Yeah. Not happiness in the sense of getting something to be happy, but rather sort of losing something. Losing unhappiness. Losing suffering. Yeah. You'll find that many times in the Buddhist teaching, things are taught in a negation state. Yeah. It's often in a negation state. So instead of talking about happiness, we talk about what is not happiness. Yeah? Suffering. And so instead of looking for happiness, we end suffering. Yeah. So sometimes we may think, isn't this like splitting hairs? You know, like going into some drilling into the vernacular of things, etymology of words and stuff. Yeah, but it's not so much that really. It's really about how, if we consider happiness in our day-to-day life, it is almost always built on getting what we want versus losing what we don't want. If we get what we want, we'll be happy. Something that we don't want, we want to remove. And if we succeed in removing it, we're happy as well. In a very simplistic way, we are very innocent. Even people who go for iPhone X, it's very innocent. You know? Yeah, think about it. They queue up and everything. Yeah, there's this internet joke about selling a kidney to buy one. Yeah, if you think about it, it boils down to simply, yeah, you want something, so you get it. It's not that different from a small kid who sees something interesting and just reach out to grab. Yeah, the difference between the small kid and an adult is that adults sometimes, in the wish to fulfill what we want, what we desire, if you will, what we pursue, may sometimes consciously, intentionally put others at jeopardy, put others at harm's way, in order for ourselves to be pleased, to be happy. And that is what we're trying to avoid. The Buddha saw this and saw that, yes, we can do that. We are able to do that sometimes. But when we do that, what will happen is that you get your short-term happiness, but long-term suffering. So the question is, can we do something such that we have long-term happiness instead of long-term suffering? Yeah. And so, if you were to consider that our life itself, it oftentimes revolves around this, our likes and dislikes and so on. So the Buddha's approach, instead of trying to look for happiness in this way, he looked at the opposite of it. He looked at how suffering arises. Yeah? And that is covered in the first three Noble Truths. The Noble Eightfold Path is the fourth Noble Truth. Yeah? The fourth Noble Truth of the way to end suffering. That is to be cultivated. There was once I gave a talk in NUS, and the NUS Buddhist Society did this very beautiful poster of a person with the hands outstretched with a balloon or something, and there's this open field, yeah, the way to happiness. Yeah, there's this path. Yeah, beautiful poster. But oftentimes when we look at Buddhism, the impression given to us through traditional Buddhism is not that. Yeah, traditional Buddhism would tend to be just. What do you get from traditional Buddhism? The impression you get, instead of me telling you. Very cheap, very hard to understand. But even my classes, some people say very cheap, very hard to understand also. Yeah. What else? A lot of chanting. Yeah. Chanting. Yeah. But that form of Buddhism existed in those days, yeah, for a reason as well. Yeah. In those days, it's not easy for them to sit down and just learn, because many of them are illiterate. So today we have a slightly different approach, and so we zoom back in. What we are learning here is the way to happiness, and it starts with, as I've shared before, the right view, and the right view consists of having the right idea about what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. Yeah, what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. The two are reflective image. Okay? Unwholesome is the 10 unwholesome deeds, and wholesome are the 10 wholesome deeds. What are the 10 wholesome and unwholesome deeds? The first three are the bodily actions. 3 bodily actions: killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. And this is what we're going to cover today. And then the next 4 are the 4 verbal, unwholesome conduct. Yeah? And they are lying, harsh speech, false speech, divisive speech. 4 of them. Now, together, then we have body, speech. And the last 3 are the mental qualities. Sometimes some text seems to gloss over it and it becomes greed, hatred, and delusion. But these 3 are mental action. So they are slightly away from just purely greed, hatred, delusion. But they are the consequences of having greed, hatred, and delusion. Purely mental, yeah. They are not divorced from greed, hatred, and delusion, but they are not greed, hatred, and delusion. And this is something I want to perhaps highlight again. Because for the longest time, when we learn the Dharma, we learn the teachings, it seems like an impossible task to do. It seems like a catch-22. To be enlightened, you must have no greed, hatred, and delusion. But you have greed, hatred, and delusion. So you will go to lower realms. But because we are not enlightened yet, so by default we always have greed, hatred, and delusion. And if once you have greed, hatred, and delusion, you go to lower realms, then we are stuck in this vicious cycle. So it makes this interpretation or this understanding makes it so basically impossible. So the truth is, as long as we are not enlightened, yes, there will be moments where there is greed. Yeah, there are moments where there will be frustration, and then anger, yeah, unhappiness, and so on. There will be moments of greed, hatred, and some states of delusion. But the question is, do we act upon them? If we act upon them mentally, that you greed for something and you start to think, I shall do this, I shall do that, how I wish I can like that, like this, like that, then you are planting mental actions. Yeah. So it's very close together, but there's still a distinction. Yeah, there's still a distinction. And there's a distinction between how you act upon your greed. Do you greed in a way where, let's say, for example, iPhone X again. Or, I don't know, maybe, all of you might be thinking, Shifu, why do you keep thinking about iPhone X? We're not interested in iPhone X. We're interested in Nibbana. Are you, is this all that you are interested in? Yeah, there was once I think I asked you all about watching movies. I know all of you watch movies. Who watch movies? Yeah. So, whatever you all may desire, whether it's a car, a house, or a phone, or maybe a person, yeah. If you desire it to the point and you act upon it such that you make plans to go and get it, does it mean that it's a negative karma already? Not always. If let's say you wish to have a house and your mental intent is, let me go and work hard, yeah, do a proper job. Let me study hard so that I can get a proper job, and let me do my work conscientiously. Then I save money. Then I have money to buy a house. Nothing wrong with that. Because if that is considered covetousness, yeah, which is the negative, unwholesome mental action due to greed, then all of us are stuck, confirm go to hell. Yeah? But in fact, this is where the line is drawn. If you covet, it means you greed for something, but that something happened to belong to somebody else, and yet you still insist, I want to have it. Then that greed is going to harm somebody. Then that's where that's a major problem. If we look at the Pali Canon, and they talk about that 10 unwholesome deeds, this is where how covetousness is defined. Yeah? where you covert after other people's things. And that can lead to us either actively planning to steal. So before you even steal, you're actually planting negative, unwholesome karma already. The plan to steal. The plan to, sometimes it's not stealing, sometimes it's to set a trap, or sometimes to speak in a conniving way, such that the person willingly give it to you. This is called conning. Yeah? Yeah, so all that, even before the deed is done, the planning involved, and all that is considered unwholesome mental activity. And the second one would be anger. Yeah. Being unenlightened, under the right conditions, will be angry. Yeah? But to what extent are you angry? Are you angry to the extent where you want to express rage towards that person? That you want to scream and shout at that person? That you want to hurt the person verbally? Yeah? Once you hurt the person verbally, that is verbal, unwholesome verbal actions. But before you do that, you start to have the plan to do that. Yeah? Then it's no longer just anger. It's the wish to harm. Yeah? So ill will is not always just about hitting a person, but that you want to harm the person, whether it's through physical actions or verbal actions. And that's where the line is drawn. Yeah? So even anger. Now, before I proceed to delusion, do not for a moment walk away from this session and think, greed, hatred and delusion is quite okay. Oh. No, it's still not quite okay. Why? Because it's the root of all evil. For a long time, we learn this in school, we learn this in class, we attend talks and people, venerables and everybody say that. And then we become among ourselves, we learn this and everybody seems to accept this. But do you know why it's called the root? Because it's not the fruit. Because it can give rise. And that's why that's why this distinction is so important. Although by itself it's just yourself ma. And that's why sometimes there's the question from students. But Shifu, if I'm angry myself, I don't go and do anything to any people, why is that wrong? So even if you are just angry and you haven't even reached the point where you plan to hurt others, even then, it is the root of that is there. And by succumbing to that, you are planting potential for ourselves to be angry again. And if you get angry often enough, then it can culminate into those other actions that hurt others, to plan to hurt others. As the Chinese saying goes, 斩草不除根, 春风吹又生. Yeah. You realize that even this has a bit of Buddhist connotation, Dharma connotation. Yeah? That with regards to these roots of evil, the defilements, if you just remove the top, which is our bodily and verbal action, you purify this, but you can restrain yourself. Yeah? Oh, I shall not kill, steal, sexual misconduct, lie. Yeah? I will not drink alcohol, and so on. But as long as the seeds, the roots of greed, hatred, and delusion are not purified, then you still have the potential to give rise to future body, speech, and mind that are unwholesome. That can still happen. Yeah. So, all that is under right view. Yeah. Because if we consider this, then, if that is the case, okay, then I must do something about my life. This is the reason part. But it's not just about what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. Yeah. Then the Buddha shared and taught what are the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path. Yeah. Shared and taught what he observed, the patterns that he observed, how our actions can lead to subsequent states, the 12 links. And that's the larger picture of how our life is not just about these few days. I don't like this person, I like this person, I want this, I want that, I don't want this, I don't want that. Not just that. But that our actions have longer term repercussion. Much longer term. So sometimes people ask like, what's your name again? Sorry, what's your name again? Yeah. Shifu. And Shifu asks, but how about rebirth? Yeah. Don't worry. Let me tell you. Most Buddhists just accept for a while. Yeah. And those who start to learn the Dhamma, start to like, but how? And I'll tell you, even in the Buddha's time, there was this general called General Siha. Yeah, he's a military person, he's a general. And when he asked the Buddha, what are the fruits of practicing generosity, of giving? So the Buddha highlighted a few, and then he said, of the first few, he can attest to personally. He can say with conviction that this is the case for the first few. Because all that he can experience here and now in his life already. For example, when you do giving, you have joy. As you are doing, you have joy. That when you give, then you form good relations with others. You have, friends and acquaintances. But there was one part where the Buddha said, in future life, you shall experience pleasant results, and so on. That is one area where even a person in the Buddha's time said that I can only accept based on conviction, but not with conviction. Yeah? Meaning with faith. Because of faith in the Buddha. Because so far, everything the Buddha say makes sense. So far, whatever he tell me to try and it turns out to be true. So based on that, if he tell me that future life there will be something, I accept based on my faith in him, what he has shown so far. In much the same way as when we go to see the doctor, if we happen to have a flu or cough or headache, do you see the doctor when you have flu or headache or cough? Some of you don't even need to see the doctor. You have faith in yourself. You just go to Guardians and then just buy this, buy that. Yeah? Why are you so confident in that? It's because in the past you have tried and you didn't die. Of course, if you die, then you wouldn't be there to question also. But because it worked. So don't undermine faith so quickly. Yeah? It does play a role. The difference is that in Buddhism, faith is not an end by itself. Yeah? You start off with faith, but then you have to verify what you have faith in. So, we have gone through right intent, and insight. We have renunciation, we have non-ill will, or non-harmfulness, so if you look at this tree, right view is basically non-delusion. And so this forms the wholesome mental karma. But mind you, this is not ours yet. We are just test driving it, as I've shared before. Yeah, we are just test driving it. So, if we remember about right view, then we have right view. If we forget, then we don't have anymore. Because it's not internalized yet. Yeah? But based on this, if you can remember and you apply it, then on top of that, we have right speech. We have right action. And we have right livelihood. And this is basically if we can just sort of draw a line here, this is speech, this is body, we have gone through right speech in past sessions, so today we're going to look very quickly into right action and right livelihood. Yeah. So what is right action? Right action comprises 3 parts. Abstaining from killing, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct. This is right action. Can you all remember this? Can you remember? I'll give you 5 more seconds to read, and then you must memorize it. Actually, you don't have to memorize, because every week we are reciting this. Panatipata viramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Yeah, to abstain from killing. I undertake the precept to abstain from killing. Yeah. Then adina dana viramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami, to abstain from stealing. Then kamesu michachara viramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami, to abstain from sexual misconduct. Yeah. So these 3 are bodily action, and today we may not go into the full details of what the very particularities. In separate sessions, we have gone through this before, under 5 precepts. Yeah. So, and I've also shared how when we observe this, it is not so much that we cannot kill or what, but if you don't want to have suffering, if you don't want to give suffering to people, and you don't want to have suffering in future, you probably don't want to do this. Yeah. It'd be like it would be like us telling our children, don't run. Yeah. Well, you can always run. Yeah. Running is an Olympics event. So what's wrong with running? Yeah. In school, we have PE, and they ask us to run. Every year we have NAFA, tests, and then we have 2.4. We run for a long time, So what's the problem? Why do mothers always, not just mothers, but parents always tell the kid, don't run. Yeah, in temples, many volunteers will be there screaming and shouting as well, don't run. Yeah. I always let kids run. When I'm in some monasteries and temples, and when I see volunteers telling off the kids, I will ask the volunteers to come to the site, and I'll tell them, why are you stopping them from running? And oftentimes, there are 2 main reasons why they say don't run. Number 1 is for fear of their safety. Number 2 is because they feel that running shouldn't be done in temples. They feel that in a temple, you should be, very serene, very zhuangyan, very dignified. You must almost like float around. Yeah. Like when you walk, you must just glide around, Yeah, seen but not heard. When you speak, you must speak very gently. Yeah, very gently. Almost like when you watch those, when you're in the monorail, Yeah. And then, or you watch those documentary, and the cheetah runs and attacks. Yeah. But I tell them no. I tell them, when I see kids running in the monastery, I say, run carefully. I don't tell them to stop. I tell them, run carefully. Because that's what we want them to do, isn't it? We don't want them to fall down. And it's not their fault that we don't have a place for them to run around. We are expecting kids to behave like adults in a place that we force them to come to. They didn't choose to come to the temple. It's not as though they say, Ma, come to temple. If they ask you to come to temple, then it's their fault. Yeah? Temple is like that, wow, what you want? Then it'll be the kids asking the parents, Ma, don't run. But it's not. Yeah, it's usually the parents who bring the kids here. Not here. Here we let you run. Yeah. You can even run on the road. But if you get knocked down, your parents will be sad, not me. I'll be concerned. I mean, we're on YouTube. Taken out of context, it's like, wow, this one is crazy, And my point is, sometimes we get caught up with the wrong things, Yeah. So, whether it's running or shouting or something, I sometimes tell parents in parents' classes, if you want your kids to just sit still and not talk, you don't need to send them for Dharma class. And you don't need to come for Dharma class also. You just need two things. Number one, masking tape. Number two, ropes. Yeah, you just need masking tape and rope, and your kids will sit there quietly. Or sometimes they struggle and they lie on the floor. Because if the outcome is the only thing you're concerned about, then why go through all the process? Yeah? But we don't do that because doing that only restricts the body and speech. And that's why the Buddha don't start with body and speech. He starts with the mind. Because once you understand, once you can adopt, or change your mindset, yeah, that's education. Then your body and speech will follow. Your body and speech will follow. And that's why the Buddha started with right view and right intention. He don't start off just going around telling people, hey, cannot steal, cannot like that, cannot like that. Even when he saw kids poking at fishes and, prodding the fishes, he don't just go in and say, hey, you cannot do this. He go in to help them see another part, help them develop empathy. He asked them, how would you feel if someone do that to you? And the kids realize, oh, I'll be terrified. Is that pleasant? No, it's not. Then what do you think about the fish? Yeah? So the Buddha, by teaching them empathy, by letting them have a sense of how it's like, it changed their mindset. And immediately they know that, they shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, so when we look at the Noble Eightfold Path, the precepts, we have to understand it from this angle. Because the Buddhist teaching and the precepts is not about restraint from the outside. It's about self-restraint for a reason. Not restraint for the sake of restraint. Yeah, so we went through this before, and then right livelihood is about our life. The fact that we need to work, we need to sustain ourselves. The Buddha described for the monastic that right livelihood for monastic is that we subsist on the kindness of the lay community. That through the donations of the four requisites, donations based on what we need, not what we want, such as the four, 衣食住药, 衣 ropes, yeah, food, lodging, and medicine. Yeah, these are four basic needs of a person, and so the Buddha allowed us to receive these as support. Later on, he allowed other things. Yeah, he didn't allow a computer or handphone because computers and handphone didn't exist in those days. Yeah, but when they wore ropes and they were wear and tear, and then there are holes, so people asked the Buddha, so can we get something to mend the hole? The Buddha allowed, okay, getting needles and thread. But after using it, they don't have anywhere to keep. So the Buddha allowed a holder to keep the needles and thread. But after that, with the holder, they don't poke themselves, but they still cannot keep anywhere. So the Buddha allowed a pouch. Yeah? But with the pouch, the pouch has an opening, so the thing fell off, and then it got lost or something. So the Buddha allowed a thread to tie it. Yeah? And there are times where the monks would be moving from places to places where there's no available offering of water. So they drank from the stream. But then because there were some worms in the stream, there was, in nature there are all kinds of things in the stream. So the Buddha allowed a strainer. And in some cases, we can use our ropes as a strainer. Yeah? If not, you have a purposeful strainer. From all this, we see that the Buddha allowed things that were supportive of the person to maintain himself or herself. Yeah? So, for the lay person, you are allowed to do what you need to do. Today we call it a career. Yeah? But it's a means to maintain your life. Really, that's really it. Yeah? You can have fanciful names. Yeah? HR will come out with all kinds of fanciful names. You say career. Yeah? They'll tell you about your compensation instead of your salary. Yeah? And of course, you all know the joke about compensation. It is because you are asked to do something you don't want to do. And that's why that you will not do willingly for free. That's why they have to compensate you for your time. And that's okay. But there are certain aspects about this where if you do that to maintain yourself, you may harm others. So the Buddha highlighted certain livelihood that is harmful. Selling of weapons, selling of poison. In some texts, there's mention of selling of alcohol. Why? Because all this directly or indirectly harm others. Yeah? Trade that is involved with killing, trade that is involved with harmfulness. Yeah? I think there's mention of trade in flesh is to be avoided. The irony is, in some Buddhist countries, some of the senior monks share with me that there's this irony, if not hypocrisy, where Buddhists say, oh, we are Buddhists, we are pure and we follow Noble Eightfold Path. Oh, fishing is not right livelihood. But can you please give me some fish? That fish looks quite good. How much is it? So we don't want to do wrong livelihood, but you all go and do. And after you all do wrong livelihood, we buy the fish from you and we criticize you. Oh, your bad livelihood. Yeah. This is not what Shifu say. This is what some senior Bante shared with me. I will not say which Bante. Yeah. But this senior monk shared this with me very openly. In fact, he sometimes shared this in Dharma talks. But he shared this with a purpose, not just to criticize or make a joke out of it, but to highlight that as we practice to try to change ourselves on this path, the way to end suffering, we have to be, conscious as well, to live our life with some conscience and not simply go on a, moral high horse. Oh, I'm so pure, you all are not pure. But to realize that, well, are you helping them to be pure also? And if you want to eat fish, then you have no right to tell them that they are pure or not pure. You are part of the equation. Yeah. So there's some hypocrisy here and there. So to be aware of. So if you can do this, okay, learn about what is right view and adopt right view. For a start, we can only adopt. Then slowly cultivate right view. Cultivation of right view requires the full swing, which is up here. I'm going to write this down. Perhaps I should have written this in red, but I'm going to write this in red. Red means we are not covering today. So we have right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So we covered all this, but this will be covered in future sessions. Now, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hence, Noble Eightfold Path. So if you are able to do 1 to 5, then with this 1 to 5, you would fulfill the criteria for human and heavenly rebirth. Yeah, because with this 1 to 5, you fulfill the 10 wholesome deeds. 10 wholesome deeds. This doesn't guarantee you nirvana, but it lays the foundation, such that in this life you can live peacefully, harmoniously with others, promote well-being for yourself and the community, and also lay the foundations for future rebirth. So the question is, what if there are no rebirth? Yeah, what is there's no rebirth basically? Well, in the Kalama Sutta, the Buddha addressed this. And he said, well, consider this. Whether or not there's rebirth, if you do this, you'll benefit. If you don't do this, instead, you allow yourself to develop very strong and intense greed to the point where you start to scheme to acquire what people have that belongs to others. Then before you even do it, your mind is agitated. And as you do that, you may start to be suspicious whether other people are coveting others over yours. And then you start to plan, and these are the extremes where you allow yourself to give in to greed, hatred, and delusion. And perhaps to even act upon them. That you are not happy, then you just whack people. Not happy, whack until the person, yeah. Whatever you want, you just take, even if it belongs to somebody. Yeah, not through the rightful means, you take. And engage in sexual misconduct, and then you lie, you do all kinds of things, wrong speech. So consider this. If you find someone like this in your life, would you feel comfortable hanging out with such a person? You wouldn't, isn't it?
No.
So conversely, if you are such a person, do you think people around you would still be comfortable with you? Would they trust you? Would your friends trust you if you are a person who does not speak the truth? If a person is someone who lies, someone who speaks harshly, yeah, when the person opens the mouth, is full of criticism and insults, yeah, never have anything good to say about you, how would you feel about such a person? Now, granted, as a Buddhist, out of compassion, it's okay, I can still be your friend. Yeah, and I can ask you, would you like to come to SGC and come and learn to change yourself? Yeah. But generally speaking, we say, if a person is like this, then most people would shun you. Yeah. Only when they have no choice will they want to interact with you. Otherwise, keep a distance. So, even if there's no rebirth, living in this way will be helpful for ourselves. Yeah? Okay, I'm going to flip the page and I'm going to ask you all questions. What is the first of the Noble Eightfold Path?
Right, mindfulness.
First, ちょっと待ってください。お願いします。Yes. Right mindfulness is number what? Number 7. Very good. Give Anna a round of applause. Okay. Oh, quite half-hearted. Okay, name another of the Noble Eightfold Path. Huh? Right speech. Well, really anyhow work already. Okay, very good. Rosie, give her a round of applause. Okay, so we have 2. One more. Right action. Yes, very good. Right effort. Yes. Okay, good. What else? Huh? Right view. Yes. Right view. Very good. What else? Right intention. Very good. What else? So we have right livelihood. Okay. Last one. Right concentration. Very good. So we have right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Yeah. At the very least, for a start, if you are new to Buddhism, or if you are new to the group, you should at least familiarize yourself with what is right view and right intention. Yeah. And for the next few, right speech, action, and livelihood. Yeah. Understanding what they are is most helpful for you to be able to relate to them and remember it. Because if you just learn it as an academic subject, there's so many lists, there's 3 refuge, 4 noble truths, 5 precepts, 8-fold path, 7 factors of enlightenment, so many numbers, worse than O levels. I have to study and then get 10-year series to do homework. Yeah. But instead, today is mainly on right action. Yeah. What are the 3 right action? What are the 3 right action? Right livelihood. Okay. Bye-bye. Yes. Okay, please. Yes. So, right action. What are the 3 right action? Abstaining from killing. Very good. Abstaining from stealing and sexual misconduct. For this week, can you all do this? Yeah, you have been doing well. Yeah. So actually, it's not that difficult, Yeah, it's really not that difficult. So keep this in mind. Any questions? Yes.
Piracy considers stealing.
Piracy. Piracy is interesting. Because in this day and age, piracy, of course, when we talk about piracy, I know for a fact that he don't mean those who are on a ship and then, ahoy! Hey, mate! Yeah, he mean, like online piracy, for example. Yeah. So, A few questions. So in this sense, legally, there has been many changes in the way media content is classified. Yeah. In the past, you have a CD, you have a DVD, you have a tape. So there's something physical and tangible. So if you were to physically go to the shop and then walk out with the CD, it's very easy to understand. You are stealing something physical. Then later on, there are some people who copy and duplicate the original and sell the... So in the past, you can actually buy the original movie for a lower price. So you are still buying, ma? So that's legally still piracy. Yeah. So there are the very simple definition of stealing is if you take something that has an owner and you take it with the intent to steal, yeah, and the item move away from its original place. This is the original definition. Yeah. 有主物，其道心then 千方便，离本处。The last condition is to determine whether it's a heavy stealing or minor stealing. And it's about the value of the item. So in today's society, the challenge is a lot of times when we talk about piracy, it's immaterial. Yeah, that means it's not something physical. And the best thing is, take for example, Netflix. Netflix allows you to register and watch for free for 1 month. After 1 month, you have to register. But after 1 month, you could also register with a new email that you can get from any provider and then watch for another month. So technically, I mean for the records, I'm not encouraging anyone to do that, but technically speaking, you can do that and you are not breaking any law. And the fact is, Netflix know that there are some percentage of people who do that. But why are they allowing it? They are allowing it because they are confident that of the whole population, you know, the normal distribution, there are those who just watch a trailer and they would just sign up. There are those who would go for the free 30 days and then re-register again and again. These are the re-register person. Re-register. And these are the immediate sign-up. But for most people, which most people fall into, you would probably just try it for a while. And if you feel like it's too expensive, then you watch it. Yeah. But if it's cheap enough, if it has a show that you want to watch enough, you don't mind paying for it. And so most people fall into this category. Now bear in mind, this may not be so small, it may be this large. Okay, I haven't done any studies on it, but it could be larger or it could be smaller. The thing is, companies like Netflix and so on, they have done their studies and their estimates that even if it reached a certain amount, they will not go bust. Companies like Blockbuster have gone down history as a moment in history. Blockbuster is a chain store in US where they where they rent movies. Yeah, that has really just disappeared. It's not overnight, but gradually it became irrelevant. When people can even watch movies on their handphone, why do I want to walk all the way there and they don't have the latest movie to watch? Yeah. So as a result, it brings to the question, to what extent is it okay? Yeah. So like in Singapore, I think in Singapore and some countries, if you host a service where you are pirating the movie, it is illegal and it's an offense. But if you consume it, there's no offense. But in some states, even consumption is an offense. So you better check if your state law. Singapore is only one state, so there's only one law. In US, there are different states, yeah, and some states like Texas and Florida, they are always quite different from the rest of the 52 or 50 over states. Then how about karma? Because that is just about legality. How about karma? Unfortunately, there are no internet. There was no internet in Buddha's time, so the Buddha didn't comment on this. But based on the precedents that we have, it requires the thought of stealing. Yeah, requires the thought of stealing, and it requires the person to have suffered losses. Yeah. So even on this, there's no clear boundaries also. There are no clear boundaries. Because there are those who argue that the distributors, the business model, the reason why they're suffering losses is because their business model is not updated. Yeah. Because their business model is still based on the physical world. Whereas for the digital age, it's still something very new. Yeah. Now, it's quite amazing how I can talk for 10 minutes without answering your question. Because there's, in some ways, no clear answer. But I will tell you that there are two camps mainly in Buddhism currently. One simply says, if you don't pay for it, you are stealing. Yeah. The question is, what about those that is published on YouTube? YouTube is the platform. YouTube should be governing it. Yeah. Then there are those like, let's say, Comedy Central. Comedy Central is very interesting because before, in the past, they don't have their own channel, and people record from the cable and then put it on YouTube. And so at some point, Comedy Central, which is a network in the US, they decided that there's no way to stop people. So they decided to monetize it. So they come out with small clips, put onto YouTube, let you watch, and work with YouTube to get revenue. Yeah. So that's why I hesitate to tell you whether it's legal or not legal. Yeah. Hulu, for example, came out with an alternative distribution method. Yeah. Hulu is a US-based company where they work with those major film company and to do live streaming. To do streaming so that people can just pay a certain subscription fee and they can watch all they want online. Yeah. So I think that if I can just add one last thing, the right thing to do is at least pay a bit here and there. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you think about it, if enough people just sponge, right, then the company will close down, lor. Then no more movies to watch, lor. Then you have to always come SGC and listen to me talk. Yes, Xiu Hua. Xiu Hua, is it?
I have a question about the killing one.
Okay.
The killing.
Okay.
You mentioned the something about fishing
Right.
earlier on, but it's not so much about pointing the finger
Yes.
at people who fish.
Yes.
In daily practice, you're saying we shouldn't actually, for example, eat fish, even though we don't go and fish, but the act of fishing kills, right? So we shouldn't actually be eating it as well because we create the demand for fishing and killing. So I often have problems understanding why Buddhists confine their not eating meat and fish
Right.
only to once a month or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
When actually it should be a daily
Right. So,
I mean,
so that's the query lah.
I mean, should we, when you say killing,
Ah.
it should mean actually being vegetarian or something like that
Right.
all the time.
Yeah. So a few things to just point out and clarify. So about that statement on fishing, when that venerable highlighted that, he wasn't so much advocating pure vegetarianism. He was highlighting the hypocrisy behind it. That when people put on the moral high horse, and act puritanical and say, oh, we are Buddhists, that we are pure in this way and that way. We don't kill animals. Oh, you all do fishing. That is so harmful. But yet, they are the reasons why they fish. Yeah, so the Venerable was pointing out the hypocrisy. Now, it doesn't make it any better if you don't say it and then you buy fish. Yeah. However, as far as I'm concerned, I have consistently pointed out that the choice to be a vegetarian or not is a personal one. So while some communities do advocate vegetarianism, I personally don't demand any of them to be full vegetarian. And the reason is because if you randomly go to any shop, any stall, the fish or chicken or pigs, whether you order or not, the animal has died. Yeah. Not to suggest that, oh, since they have died, then we better eat it to make their death worthy. That would be wrong also. To me, let's not make ourselves like we are making it worthy. What are we doing anyway? Huh? Yeah. To me, that is a bit too twisted. But rather, to first consider, firstly, eating meat is not directly equitable to killing. Not directly. Unless, like Jean just came back from Japan and she can attest to the fact that there are many shops, many stalls where live seafood is readily available. In Singapore, on a much smaller scale, but sometimes you can see coffee shop, there'll be one part of the coffee shop with an aquarium. Yeah? And I think for many kids, they probably, hey, there's an aquarium. But actually it's for ordering the fish. In those cases, our consumption of the fish is directly linked to the death of the fish. And so this is the distinction here that I want to highlight. That if your eating directly contributes to the killing, that should be avoided because it's as good as you ordering the death. Whereas if you were to go to a zap cai kiam stall and there are some fishes there, when the person did the fishing, the person wasn't thinking, there's this lady Xiu Hua. I know she always go to this hawker center. Let me fish this. This one is very good. Then after that, pass to the driver. Hey, driver, you bring over to that shop. It's not a direct link. But in the larger scheme of things, there is potentially that indirect link. So, having said that, my advice about vegetarianism is more about asking the question, in this day and age, surely we can sustain ourselves in a less cruel manner. Yeah. So, should people be like full-time vegetarian, or should it be once or twice a month? It is like what I sometimes ask people, should you be kind to people once or twice a day or every day? Should you be filial to your parents, to your mother only on Mother's Day? Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes we are overwhelmed by life and we cannot do what we should be doing. We do what we want to do. And sometimes people want to eat meat. Yeah, unfortunately. So, in most communities, we encourage people to eat wisely, eat compassionately. Yeah. But in Buddhism, we don't really stipulate to tell people you must do this. So I leave it to them. Some students, without me telling them directly, they have decided, yeah, it doesn't make sense that if I can live without meat, why should I indirectly or directly cause the suffering of these poor creatures? And it's not just the death, it's the living condition that I'm increasingly more aware and concerned about. Because even if you don't kill them, can you imagine living in a small tank? Day in, day out. Yeah. Just the living conditions itself should be enough for us to say we should abolish all this, And it's not just the aquarium in the live seafood hawker center or coffee shop. It is all those farms. If you see any of those videos by PETA, it will make you cry, It will make you cry. The irony of all this is, earlier on I mentioned about Maruti. He was hacked to death by 2 persons. And in some ways that his sister, I read the article, his sister is I think engaged or is married to the other family, and they're having some issues. I'm not saying it's right, but at least those 2 persons attacked for some reason. May not be a valid reason, and I cannot think of any reasons why you should hack people to death. I feel for that friend of mine, Maruti, for this friend of mine. But if you think about it, every day throughout the world, hundreds and thousands and millions of animals are hacked to death. Maybe not hacked, sliced to death in a very systematic, clinical way. So there are those who ask, is there ever compassion in killing? Because animal rights activists are asking, we should have more humane way of farming. Then some people ask, how can you ever make killing humane? It is never humane. Yeah. Oh. So think about it. Yeah. Yes. Last question.
So this actually boils down to the intention. Can I say that?
Our intent. Yes. Yes. Yes, the intention is very important. Yeah. The intention, but also plus the action and the outcome. Where we can, we should consider the whole chain. Yeah. But start with the intent, of course. Oh. So, I hope this gives us food for thought. Yeah. To be mindful of our mindset as we go about with our life. Yes, we do have to eat things, but do we have to eat in a way that result or requires the suffering of living creatures? Never mind that they can't complain, write a form, but do we really need that? Yeah. Or can we make a different choice to choose to live our life in a way that can still sustain us, but at the same time be more open to let others have a chance to live without fear. Put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。起立。